Well, Luma, that is a reminder of the sacrifice and dangers that our troops in harm's way face on the front lines. You know, there are other challenges when they return here at home. That is addressed here at the George W. Bush Center in Dallas, where we've been reporting all day. You know, the president's moving paintings of post-9/11 vets, well, they've received national attention. But his artistic work is only one part of what the Bush Institute does with a variety of programs to help our vets.
It's America.
Yeah.
It's people from all walks of life who put on the uniform, and they volunteer to do so. And so I tell people, what an amazing country. And one should not feel sorry for them, but we ought to be thankful to them.
We ought to be thankful.
And we ought to help them. And that's what we do here at the Bush Center. That's why I'm so thankful you came down, because I want to talk about, to vets who are listening, get on the bushcenter.org website. We can help you find a job, and we can help you deal with your invisible wounds of war.
Well, the president just told Shawn Hannity, bushcenter.org website. It's where you can find out more about the Bush Center Military Service Initiative. And its director joins us now, former Army Lieutenant Colonel Miguel Howe. Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for having us here.
Eric, thanks for having me on the show, and thanks so much for helping to make the invisible visible.
Well, of course, and that's exactly it, making the invisible visible. Tell me about the work, and certainly there are people now watching who have served, who loved one has served, how they can get help.
Well, Eric, I'd like to start by saying that the purpose of the Military Service Initiative is to meet President and Mrs. Bush's vision to honor the service and the sacrifice of all post-9/11 veterans and their families by fostering a successful transition and reintegration from military service to civilian life, with a particular emphasis on employment and addressing the invisible wounds of war. The Bushes know that by fostering this successful transition, we enable a generation of resourceful, determined, and experienced leaders who will continue to serve our businesses, our communities, and our nation for decades to come.
How difficult can that be? You know the men and women. You served in Afghanistan and Iraq alongside them. When you try to transition into civilian life?
Well, there's really two areas that we've found are the most difficult. And the one that all veterans and all spouses face is employment transition. Within the military, not only does our work meet our financial requirements, but also provides us a sense of purpose and belonging. And so there really is a transition and a change in language and culture that's part of that transition into the civilian workforce. But we know if we get this right, these are the men and women who will come home and fill critical skilled work requirements. They'll lead our current businesses, and they'll start new businesses and be more successful than non-veterans. But in order to help them with that transition, we know vets have to take ownership of it. So with our partner at the U.S. Chamber of Commerce's Hiring Our Heroes, we've developed a digital platform, a veteran employment transition roadmap. We call it the Vet Roadmap, vetroadmap.org. But that's a tool that we launched last month to help all post-9/11 veterans and military spouses take ownership, help tailor their own transition program, and provide for them best-in-class resources.
Can you say the website again, where people should go to get more information?
So they can go to vetroadmap.org, but of course they can find it through the bushcenter.org website.
What type of programs do you have here? I mean, obviously you need to have the jobs, you need to have the economic stability in order for employers, and many employers, they want you know, vets. They want that service.
They absolutely do. And so we work with the major hiring coalitions to help them adopt best practices. So not only at the Chamber, but the J.P. Morgan Chase-led Veteran Jobs Mission, as well as the private equity consortium of portfolio firms. You know, all told, about 700 major companies that are putting a significant effort forward. But, you know, there's one issue, Eric, that impacts all veterans, whether they have these injuries or not, and that's the invisible wounds of war. And one of the challenges with the invisible wounds are the negative stigmas and stereotypes, which also impact employers and their propensity to hire. And so part of that education process with the employers is that this is not something to fear. The invisible wounds, and we're talking specifically about traumatic brain injury and psychological health conditions like post-traumatic stress. These are actual injuries of war.
And it's hard for someone to sometimes admit that they need that help And there is some place to go for that.
Well, that's one of the major challenges, right? And so through our research and through our surveys, we found that these stigmas actually serve as a barrier to veterans connecting to the care that they need. We recently did a survey of about 3,000 folks in the United States, the United Kingdom, and Canada, but also with almost 1,000 post-9/11 veterans here in the United States. And we found that over 85% of veterans say that the negative stigmas and stereotypes serve as barriers to seeking care and treatment for those injuries.
So quickly, finally, they can go to thebushcenter.org. What type of programs do you have? What type of advice can you offer? What can someone watching right now do?
So what we've done is establish the Warrior Wellness Alliance. And so we want folks to go to the bushcenter.org website where they can learn about this alliance, which is really a network of networks. We have best-in-class veteran peer-based organizations like Team Rubicon, Team Red, White, and Blue, Student Veterans of America, Wounded Warrior Project, and our own Team 43. And the folks that are members of those organizations can connect those members to the veterans that need care, to the best-in-class public and private nonprofit providers such as the Cone Veteran Network and the Warrior Care Network. So we need them to connect those veterans to best-in-class care, because we know that most veterans don't get their health care through the VA. Only 6 out of 21 million veterans seek care there. There's really 4 things that all your viewers can do, and that I would ask them today. First is know, understand, and connect to veterans, and know what the invisible wounds are and how they're treated. And you can learn more at bushcenter.org. Second, mentor young transitioning veterans and military spouses. Military does a great job preparing to fight, win, and survive on the modern battlefield, but they need that mentorship on our campuses and in the work setting. Third, find, hire, develop, and retain veterans in your businesses. They will make you more successful. And finally, support impactful organizations that help with transition. You can help with your time, your expertise, and your money. Great organizations like the ones in our Warrior Wellness Alliance or in your local community.
You know, they have served the country so well. It certainly is time for us to serve them. Colonel, thank you. Thank you for your service, and thank you for what you do here at the Military Service Initiative at the Bush Center for helping those who really do need help.
Thanks, Eric, and thanks to your viewers for the help they're going to provide.
Absolutely. bushcenter.org.